Yahoo.com. Salem police investigate shooting at Tesla dealership. Heavens me. Elon Musk over here paying $11 billion in taxes in 2021, and activists are trying to take his life. Take a look at this story. Salem police are investigating a Wednesday morning shooting that damaged windows at a Salem Tesla dealership. Police responded to reports of damaged windows at the dealership at about 5 a.m., according to spokesperson Angela Hedrick. Officers found what appeared to be damage from gunshots, she said. They said no arrests have been made and the incident remains an active investigation. Well, we do have this tweet from Nick Sorter, who says the showroom was shot up in Oregon. The second criminal incident at this location in recent weeks. The first was an arson attack on January 20th. This is a result of Democrats and legacy media calling Elon Musk Hitler. He says someone is going to get killed. Also, this month, protesters put stickers on the windows of another Tesla showroom in New York saying, calling on people to harm Elon. I don't want to read what it says. This needs to stop. Authorities need to make very clear example out of these criminals. This is what happens when people fundamentally misunderstand how the government works, how paying taxes works. These people, in their minds, believe that Elon doesn't pay any taxes, that he's exploiting and ripping off his workers, and that now he's going and stealing your private data from the government. It has radicalized people to the point where they are shooting up Tesla dealerships. Let me just make sure I iterate this before. I know, guys, I'm ranting, but these people are so psychotic. They would threaten the lives of floor salespeople who probably make $60,000, $70,000 a year at a local car dealership. That's how insane they are.
Yeah, and this is the same, like the mindset of, oh, these billionaires don't pay enough money. That's how you get a dude that's worth $40 million killed, the CEO of the healthcare company. He got shot in the back because the rich don't pay their fair share, and the healthcare companies are taking advantage of us, even though the issue at hand is that there is the government in between people and their actual healthcare, right? The fact that there's insurance that has to be, you have to use insurance to be able to afford health insurance because there's to be able to afford healthcare because there's no actual market. And the idea that the rich are the reason why people are poor, which you hear frequently, the idea that there is a fixed pie that everyone has to go and get their money from, as opposed to when a new product is invented or there's an innovation in the market that actually grows the pie. Those two ideas are conflicting. It is not true that there is a fixed amount of money to be shared amongst everybody. And the best evidence of that is the iPhone. Before the iPhone was invented, before the iPhone came onto the market in 2007, there were smartphones and there were things that did what the iPhone did, but it was not ubiquitous the way the iPhone was in just a few years, and that's because the revolution in interface that the iPhone was for a smartphone made everybody feel like they needed one, and it made the actual industry grow. Well, Apple became a much larger country.
Luxuries become requirements as things get normalized.
The point that I'm making is that innovation drives the size of the pie everyone's going for. It's not that the pie is fixed. The pie does grow when you have innovation in a market.
So the issue we have here, it's fascinating. Like, Elon is trying to find and gut the bloat in government. He's talking about, I think they said they saved $55 billion already, which could be a couple $100 per person already in this country. And the left, the Democrats, the media are claiming that Elon is trying to steal your private data, despite the fact that Elon Musk owns X and already has the private data of hundreds of millions of individuals, what is it, like 200 million people, and also ran PayPal and had everyone's private data. And my favorite part of the story is that the government agencies and the people there already have your private data. So if John Smith is a raging Trump supporter and working in the Treasury Department, you don't care. But if Elon Musk wants to send in a couple of IT guys to go through the numbers and do an audit, now you're concerned about someone taking your private data. This is catastrophizing. It's hysteria. It's intended to protect the machine state. Because I will stress this. USAID, these other government institutions dumping money into D.C. And by the way, we have a story for you for today where criminal lawyer, fraud, suicide are all trending in Washington, D.C. Google Trends. The people who live there are searching these things. It's horrifying. I hope everyone's okay. But after Trump said we're going to cut out the fraud, a lot of people started doing searches for things about self-harm. That's insane. Really? Yes. And I've got the graph. We'll pull it up in a little bit. Elon Musk says, let's go find the fraud. And then the machine says, Elon is evil, stop him. And now people are shooting up and vandalizing Tesla locations. I remember back during Occupy when they smashed up a Bank of America window right next to Zuccotti Park. And I asked them, why did they smash the windows? And they said, so that we can teach Bank of America a lesson. And I said, and what lesson do you think you taught them? And they were like, that we are not going to remain silent. And they're this close to violence. And I said, do you think anyone in any capacity of management, senior leadership, executive management, or on the board knows you broke that window? And they were like, I don't know. And I'm like, I'll tell you who knows you broke the window. It's the guy who works in there for $40,000 a year who walked into his office and found glass all over his desk. You think that guy is going to like you, adhere to your cause? And he's in the same income bracket as you. Why did you smash up the Starbucks window? Same reason. I said, do you think any of these $12 an hour Starbucks employees understand your message? All they know is they showed up for work and the boss said, we're closed today. The window's been smashed. And they said, but bro, I need the hours. And the boss said, sorry, we can't do anything about it. Looks like no one's working today. And now the dude's not going to be able to pay his car bill. The things these people do is unhinged, and it's because they are very low order thinkers. They don't understand how taxes work. They don't understand. And I'm going to say this too. I'm going to throw it to you guys. The most important thing about Elon's business, Amazon's business, and paying taxes and employment is that businesses do what the government requires they do. And most people don't know this, but usually when your company has a policy that you hate, it's because the government makes them do it. That and insurance companies.
Yeah.
But you're sitting there being like, why do we have to do these stupid sexual harassment seminars? Man, my company's lame. Well, the government makes them do it. The government has a law called the 1964 Civil Rights Act, which talks about discrimination. And if you act in any way against it, you'll be sued into oblivion. And so the insurance companies then say, we won't accept liability unless you enact these things because the law says you can't. And they go, I guess we have no choice. Mm-hmm. And here we are with them saying, Elon and the billionaires, Bill Burr calling for, look at this, Bill Burr comes out and he called for the death of billionaires. And now we have this stuff targeting Elon Musk. Yeah. These, you know what it is, man? You said earlier that these people think that billionaires are only rich because they're taking from the poor. Yeah. It's actually the other way around. Poor people's standard of living increases exponentially when wealthy people develop things.
Yes.
And let me just pause right there and not say it is not that you are inherently wealthy that makes you a good person. There are heirs to great fortunes who have done nothing for society. And there are people who make money off of day trading and they're not really doing anything other than ripping and extracting from the market. But Elon Musk has satellites with low latency internet that can broadcast almost everywhere in the world. Now phones are attaching to them and we can get cell signal anywhere. He makes electric cars, which all the climate change people should be cheering for. And he's working on space technology, which has reduced the cost of satellite launches and space travel substantially. Elon Musk then purchased Twitter, turned it to X, increased the amount of free speech, decreased the amount of censorship, far from perfect. He's certainly done a tremendous amount of good. In fact, he doubled the margins of Twitter. The Democrats like to say, and the liberals like to say, X is worth nothing. Remember, it was worth $44 billion when he bought it. Now it's worth $7 billion. Well, the reality is, I believe it was the Wall Street Journal came out with a report saying, actually, his costs are cut in half, and the margins doubled. Theoretically, the company's worth substantially more now because they're turning more profit despite a lower revenue. He got rid of that overhead. Elon is doing tremendous work. It's working out very well. He is generating wealth and jobs. And through his leadership, many other people are able to live better. Not all rich people are good. Not all poor people are good. But some and many rich people who are leaders of industry who work relentlessly and run their companies make it possible for other people to have jobs which allow their standard of living to increase. Hence, your dental care today is better than Rockefeller's was at the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm. And it's great that you mentioned dental care and stuff because the industries that don't have the government involved in them on a regular basis when it comes to health care or people's bodies or whatever, your plastic surgery, things like LASIK surgery for your eyes, rhinoplasty, which is plastic surgery, dental work, all that stuff. Those tend to get cheaper as time goes on because of innovation and the market. The things that don't get cheaper are the things that are necessary care that you have to have insurance for. So it should be cheaper to set a broken bone nowadays than it was 100 years ago, right? It should be cheaper.
You would think so.
You would think it would be cheaper and easier nowadays with all the technology and stuff. It's not. And it's not because there is no market. The cost of the cost of medical care isn't. They don't share it with the consumer, so the consumer can't say, "Well, I'm going to go to someone else who will do it cheaper." You need markets to drive prices down because that competition is one of the things that makes things get better.
Let's give a real great example. Amazon wanted to open a factory or warehouse or whatever in New York. They said over 10 years, we expect to generate $30 billion in revenue. We'll be providing 100, or was it like 10,000 jobs or something like that? So this means the people in New York are going to have jobs. The city of New York is going to generate $30 billion in tax revenue over 10 years. And the city said, we definitely want this. You give $1 from your company to a person, you pay employment taxes. That person buys a cheeseburger, pays a sales tax. That money goes to the government in the end. And so they were very excited. AOC began to hold rallies saying the government is letting them come here for free and giving them a cheaper tax deal. Yes, Amazon was looking for a place to set up shop. Governments were saying, we'll waive taxes of this, that, or otherwise. You come here, it'll be cheaper for you if you work here because we want the revenue, we want the jobs, we want the industry, because the industry brings wealth with it. Thanks to AOC and her ilk, Amazon decided not to do it, and it destroyed a great opportunity for the people in New York that was going to be used largely to fix their decaying subway system. See, these leftists don't understand how taxes work. She came out and said, New York is giving Amazon billions of dollars. No, it was a tax rebate. It was after they pay the taxes, they get like a rebate. So it means they would ultimately pay very few taxes if they moved there. But you see, progressive activists don't know how any of these laws work. I got to tell you, you know what's really frustrating?
What's that?
Is that people think, well, this is really funny. I tell people, like, you can't just give a family member money. It's like, I learned this the hard way. I start a company and I'm like, oh, I got some money. Like, let me, give some money to a family member. My accountant's like, that's illegal. And I was like, it is? And they're like, you can't just give money to somebody. And I was like, oh, well, so how do I buy something? They got to pay income tax on it. And I was like, my family member, if I like buy a car for a family member, it's like, yeah, they got to pay tax on it. It's income. And I'm like, okay, well, so I can't buy someone a car? Absolutely not. I said, okay, what if I like pay off their credit card? You are giving them money. I said, if I pay off their debts, yes. When someone's got $1,000 in debt and you say, I'll pay your credit card off for you, you just gave them $1,000 and that individual owes taxes on it. People don't understand how the government works. Most people get their taxes taken out of their paycheck and they never see this stuff. Then when you're running a business, you're like, someone says, I'd like a raise. Well, I can't give it to you. Why not? Because that would put you double the market rate. We're already paying you really well. And they'll say, well, I think I deserve it. I'm going to quit. It's like, okay, then do it because we're going to get audited if they find out we're paying someone at your rate. We're dealing with this stuff in West Virginia. I've been ranting about it relentlessly. We are not legally allowed to hire Elaad. How about that, Elaad?
I knew I always loved New York better than this state.
Yeah, Elaad is, we're not legally allowed to have him work here.
You're going to have the chat real excited, Tim. I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't get too into it.
It's his last show.
No.
I'm just kidding.
So
I'll still be around, guys. Don't get too excited.
But before we jump to the next story, just one final thought on this to explain how psychotic the government is and how when I'm running a business and I'm dealing with tax attorneys, corporate attorneys, and accountants, I hear about Jeff Bezos and I go, oh, so that's why he does that. Oh, so that's why they're doing that, because legal requirements put them in positions where this is how it has to be structured. Then there's corporate interests, of course, for the health of the company, fiduciary responsibility. Publicly traded companies aren't allowed to disclose information, share. It's absolutely insane. Publicly traded companies aren't allowed to take actions that would cost the shareholders money. All of this stuff is locked in by the government. So the West Virginia government told us we aren't legally allowed to buy content from Elaad. So Elaad, as an individual of his own volition, wants to go cover a news event and then asks us, hey, would you guys be interested in carrying this? And we say, yes, we're not legally allowed to do that anymore.
I don't understand the leftist talking point of Trump. He wants to cut the taxes for the rich, they say. And or like Amazon as well. They're giving Amazon a discount. Amazon's coming to New York and AOC stopped it. But people who live in New York, because of the tax break they're going to get from the government, whatever, they're going to create, 25,000 jobs.
Yeah.
How do they not understand that? Who cares? Amazon gets a little break.
To be completely honest,
they're going to give people jobs.
and it may be a bit disrespectful, is because arguments from like Elaad in that regard does not understand legal requirements, tax law, and the structure of how taxes and revenue is generated.
Okay, Raymond, let me explain to you part of what the issue was. It's because it's not actually real capitalism. It's crony capitalism. If you're going to get a different deal than other companies that decide to come do business in New York City, why do you have different laws? Why does Amazon have a carve out to try to entice them to come to the city? Is what the argument was.
Right.
So they were getting special benefits. The argument would be to entice them to come to this city over another city. But then at the end of the day, this isn't something cities should be doing to try to entice over different companies to have them come to their cities.
Why not?
Okay,
it's
let's-
a huge
let's-
$1 million.
Because then it's a race to the bottom, and then we don't have equal laws for all the companies.
Let's roll. Okay, so why is it that when I tweeted we were going to leave West Virginia over their insane laws, which make it so that we can't hire people like Elaad, we can't buy content from him. I don't want to say hire. Literally the dude's like, hey, I filmed this thing. Would you like to run it? I said, it's not allowed. It's not allowed. So I said, we can't operate. If I can't have a reporter who did a documentary or a video, if we can't buy the rights to that, which we literally can't under this law, then we can't operate in West Virginia. Well, this caused a huge backlash in the state.
Sure.
Several delegates from the state started reaching out to my family members. I started getting text messages.
I got a couple Tell Tims.
People
from the government.
People were tweeting, the governor is trying to reach out to you. Now, why would that be the case? Because we have a large corporation that generates lots of money, and there are, in the area, the employees here pay rent. They pay property tax on the properties they own. They purchase coffee. They purchase cheeseburgers.
Yep.
When the people move here, when all the members of Timcast.com buy a membership, that money effectively pools in the bank accounts in West Virginia. We then use that money to pay contractors to fix toilets, to pay IT guys to set up computers, to pay journalists and reporters in New York to produce content. And then from the money we spend in West Virginia, largely, it creates ancillary economic boons. So the state says, we need this industry in our state. We need more industry, because that means the guy who is a pizza maker, he's running a pizza shop in West Virginia for 50 years. All of a sudden, there's 73 new people living in the area who moved there because not that they work for Timcast, but Timcast hired 30 people. Those 30 people need plumbing services. They need groceries. They need food deliveries. They need clothing. So when they went to the grocery store and bought all that stuff up, those stores had to hire more people to accommodate the increase in people, bringing even more people in.
Right.
All of a sudden, that pizza shop owner, his property values tripled. All of a sudden, he's selling more pizzas than he can, and he says, guys, we got to expand. So he hires more people. Well, one day, Elaad shows up and says, we shouldn't have laws like this. You shouldn't be allowed to offer tax benefits to these companies.
No. I believe that you shouldn't be able to give special incentives to specific companies that our government negotiates with corporations that give them different rules than other corporations in the neighborhood. Because that isn't capitalism, it's crony capitalism.
So let me finish.
And that's why you don't want to do it
How
here.
about you let me finish? West Virginia passed a law which makes it illegal for us to buy content from Elaad. In order for Elaad to sell content to us, he has to open a West Virginia business, get permitted, and everything that goes along with it, and it costs a lot of money. Then he has to pay taxes in 2 states.
Ouch.
That's right. So they're double dipping and taking money from him, and if he doesn't pay it, they come to us and demand that we do. That's the law. Okay? Other states don't have that law. Not that I have to negotiate with anybody. I don't got to negotiate with the governor. I can say, Governor, with all due respect, your laws are abject evil. I should be allowed to contract from an individual who wants to sell a product to me. So you know what? I will drive 10 miles to a different state that has none of these laws. Do you think West Virginia wants to lose that tax base and the economic boon to all the people who live in the area?
No, they would consider giving you a special carve-out.
Right. Now, I'm not a fan of that, so I largely rejected it. However, what would happen to the pizza shop that now has hired 5 employees to accommodate all the pizzas that we order if we leave?
They would be fired, and that is capitalism.
And the shop may go out of business. You know why? The expanded infrastructure of the pizza shop, including their footprint, the gas, the propane they buy, the electricity, when they get a bigger building, now their mortgage goes up, now their rent goes up. All of a sudden, overnight, their revenue drops by 40, 50%. And he says, it's not that I have to fire you guys. I have to sell the building.
Yeah.
We were expanding, and then they pulled the rug out from under us. Now there's no pizza shop. It's all gone. So what does West Virginia do? They say, let's talk to Tim Pool and figure out how we can make this work for him, because clearly something is not right. That's called standard negotiations, and it's called how humans operate with each other. We do not live in a rigid machine world where everything is predicated upon if this, then that. Human beings we have judges, and the reason we have a judiciary is to interpret the law as to what makes the most sense. And that is, two human beings are allowed to come to an agreement, like Eric Adams and Donald Trump.
Does that mean we'll be seeking a carve-out? Will Timcast be seeking a carve-out from the governor?
I have reached out to the governor. He has responded. We have not yet had a conversation, but I'm actually seeking the overturning of West Virginia's Employment Classification Act of 2021, whatever it's called, which makes it literally illegal to be like, let me just hammer it out very simply. Elaad lives in a different state. Sometimes he films news. He then reaches out to us and says, would you like to buy this product that I have made? We then said, that's actually pretty good. We'll take it. They came to us, told us he was a full-time employee, that we now have to pay they're saying no penalties, but everything you've paid him, we want you to pay an additional percentage on top for everything you've ever bought from him. And I said, he's a contractor. We paid our bills as if he was a contractor, as per our lawyers and our accountants. And they said, we don't care. So now I'm like, okay. So now what's happening is they've sent us this massive tax bill demanding money from us because they're trying to squeeze blood from a stone. And I would rather leave this state than let them rip me off and disrespect me the way they are. That is absolutely psychotic. But you know what? Anyway, let's talk about news.
Chloe,
this tax stuff.
yeah.
It's tax season.
I feel like I've learned more from this than I have in 4 years of high school.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.